While enjoying a serene afternoon on a secluded beach with her horse, Sapphire, Jenna witnessed something extraordinary. Sapphire, usually calm and composed by the ocean's edge, began to act unusually agitated. The horse pawed at the sand frantically, as if trying to uncover something buried beneath the surface. As Sapphire's digging became more intense, Jenna's curiosity turned to concern. What Sapphire unearthed next was beyond Jenna's wildest expectations, prompting an immediate call to 911. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. It was the first nice day of the summer. The sun was high in the blue sky, and the breeze was just strong enough to cool Jenna down slightly as she made her way to the beach with her horse Sapphire. Before long, the dunes gave way for the stretch of sand that slowly filled with beachgoers. She thought it would be just like any other day, but nothing could have warned Jenna about what would happen when she stepped onto the beach. Jenna climbed off Sapphire's back and dropped down into the warm sand. She took the horse's reins, and together they set off to find a perfect spot to spend the day in. Sapphire was calm, completely at ease at the beach as usual. Finally, Jenna came to a stop at the mouth of a big cave. There'd be enough shadow to hide in between, bathing in the sun, and it was secluded enough for letting Sapphire walk around freely. After putting her towel down and setting up the little parasol she'd brought, Jenna went to undo Sapphire's reins. When she undid the last buckle, she stroked a hand down the horse's nose and said, "Be free, my friend." It wasn't long before Sapphire strolled away from her to sniff at the sand. Jenna looked up at the sound, and it took her a while to locate Sapphire. The horse was pawing at the sand near the cave entrance, and it looked silly enough for Jenna to laugh at him. "What are you doing, you silly animal?" She grinned from where she was sprawled on the towel, content to bake in the sun for the upcoming hour. Then she heard a loud noise. With a frown, Jenna sat up again and observed Sapphire for a moment. The horse was not just pawing at the sand anymore, but really trying to dig a hole in the ground with his front legs. Sapphire bristled from the effort, seemingly determined to get to whatever he'd scented below the ground. Jenna stood up and walked over, but she didn't see anything that could have elicited such a reaction. She pushed Sapphire away from the cave, certain it was probably just an old carrot someone had buried in the sand. For a moment, Sapphire seemed content to nose along the waves, so Jenna laid back down on her towel and closed her eyes. She hadn't realized she had fallen asleep, but sure enough, she woke up to the sound of Sapphire's digging a while later. "Sapphire!" she reprimanded, getting up to push the horse away from the mouth of the cave again. This time, Sapphire wouldn't budge. The horse stayed right where he was and didn't even halt his digging. Jenna leaned in to get a better look at the hole that was slowly forming beneath her horse's hoof. There was nothing to see, but sand getting a bit darker and wetter the deeper the hole. A little crab scuttled quickly away from the onslaught. Fine, she relented. "Let me help you then, you insufferable clown," she said, and sat down on her knees to help Sapphire dig into the sand. She pulled handfuls of sand from the hole, creating a pile beside her that grew by the minute. Jenna was completely engrossed in her task. "What are you doing?" a high-pitched voice asked. Jenna looked up to see a little boy of around 10 years old, peering curiously into the hole Sapphire and she had been digging. "Honestly, kid, I don't really know," she said, and sat back on her haunches. The kid seemed to think about this for a moment, then held out a hand that was covered in melted ice cream. "I'm Tommy. Can I help?" he said. Jenna took Tommy's hand and tried not to cringe at how sticky it was. "I'm Jenna," she said as she shook his hand. "Sure, why not? You dig from that side, I dig from this," she opted, giving Sapphire a foul look at what he was forcing her to do. The animal wisely didn't react at all. Tommy nodded, and together they started digging anew. Finally, their fingers thudded onto something hard. Jenna's fingers scraped against something solid in the sand. Together with Tommy, they cleared the sand around the object, curious about their find. As he pulled, something on the box clicked and came loose, sending him stumbling back into the sand. Jenna rushed to his side, concern etched on her face. The object remained in the hole, more mysterious than ever, as they both eyed it warily, wondering what they had disturbed. The relentless beeping now captured the attention of nearby beachgoers, drawing a crowd around Jenna and Tommy. With one final effort, Jenna managed to free the metal object from its sandy grave. The crowd leaned in, the beeping echoing off the cave walls, mixing with the sound of the waves. The beeping intensified, drilling into Jenna's ears. She stood frozen for a split second before her survival instincts kicked in. "Call 911!" Jenna's eyes were glued to the metal object as a timer blinked back at her in ominous red numbers. It was counting down, each second ticking away. "Go find your mom or dad, Tommy," Jenna said, her voice steady but her heart racing. Tommy looked up at her, his eyes welling up, but nodded. Jenna turned her attention back to the device, trying to fix the lever Tommy had accidentally pulled. As the police cars arrived, sirens blaring, the timer ominously displayed 001836. Jenna, frozen with fear, clutched the mysterious device tightly, afraid that even the slightest movement might accidentally trigger it prematurely. A handsome officer approached swiftly, urgency etched deeply on his face. After quickly assessing the tense scene, he asked Jenna to explain everything. "I will," Jenna said, her voice trembling with panic. "But first, please, can you make sure my horse, Sapphire, is moved to safety?" Jenna, still tightly holding the device, overheard murmurs among the officers and the distinct phrase, "Call the bomb squad immediately." Soon, two determined officers approached Sapphire, attempting to lead him away from the imminent danger zone. "Can you tell me what happened?" Detective Gonzalez asked, introducing himself. Jenna recounted the afternoon's events, describing how Sapphire started digging insistently in the sand, leading her to join in. Her voice was steady but carried an underlying note of disbelief at the day's surreal turn of events. Jenna continued, explaining how a young boy named Tommy had appeared, offering his help. Together, they had uncovered something buried in the sand. As Jenna relayed the morning's extraordinary events, she couldn't help but notice the police officers methodically clearing the crowded beach. Detective Gonzalez placed his hand gently on Jenna's trembling shoulder, a gesture of support during the escalating chaos. "It'll be okay." Admitting her deep-seated fear, Jenna felt a vulnerability she hadn't expected to confront today. When Jake inquired if she wanted to call someone for comfort, her response was a quiet, somber confession of profound loneliness. The sudden mention of Tommy prompted Jake's immediate concern, highlighting the unexpected bond formed during a crisis. Jenna expressed a heartfelt hope aloud that Tommy was now safely away, her concern for him evident even amidst her own palpable distress. As Jenna spoke of Tommy with worry, a convoy of dark vans appeared, driving purposefully up the sandy beach towards them. "That has to be the bomb squad," Jake observed with certainty, following Jenna's anxious gaze. "All right," Jake said, his voice calm and steady. "Jenna, I'm here with you, and I'm not going anywhere. It's going to be okay." Hearing his words, Jenna felt a wave of relief. Three figures, clad in heavy bomb disposal suits, approached through the sand, their presence almost otherworldly. "You found the object?" Jenna could only nod in response, the surreal nature of the situation making every moment feel like a scene from a movie she never asked to star in. Trying to remain as motionless as possible, Jenna watched as the bomb squad members positioned themselves carefully around her. "No sudden movements," the first man warned again, his tone serious yet calm. "We're going to get this away from you as quickly as we can, okay?" Jake noticed her discomfort and, looking for a distraction, asked, "Tell me about Sapphire." His question was a gentle attempt to shift her focus as the bomb squad members concentrated on assessing the beeping device. Jenna spoke of Sapphire, her voice warming as she described him as more than a horse, more like her best friend, someone who seemed to understand every word she said. "What a special bond you two have. No wonder he wouldn't leave you," Jake remarked with a smile, glancing towards Sapphire, who remained determinedly by Jenna's side. A bomb squad member stood up and detailed their plan to Jenna. First, she would stand up slowly and carefully with Jake's assistance. With Jake's support, Jenna stood, feeling the rush of blood to her legs as she moved achingly slow. "Well done, Jenna!" praised the bomb squad leader once she was upright, the beeping object still in her grip. "Now, you're going to slowly, carefully hand the bomb to me, okay?" The timer read 00426, a stark reminder of the urgency. Jenna, too afraid to speak, merely nodded at the bomb squad leader's instructions. Jenna's hands shook violently as she began to extend the bomb away from her body, her arms moving with excruciating slowness to maintain the object's stability. By the time the bomb was carefully passed from Jenna's trembling hands to the bomb squad member, the timer displayed 000257, its beeping incessantly loud in the tense air. The urgency in his voice spurred them into action, their bodies reacting before their minds could process the danger still ticking away behind them. Jenna and Jake ran, their feet sinking and then kicking up the soft sand as they tried to put as much distance as possible between themselves and the potential explosion. "Faster!" Jake urged, his grip on Jenna's hand tightening as he felt her begin to lag. A time capsule, not a bomb, was the source of their ordeal. The relief that washes over her is palpable, even as Jake carefully wipes away her tears, the bond between them strengthened by the day's events and the emotions they've shared. As calm returns and they sit wrapped in emergency blankets, Sapphire content nearby, Jake's hesitant question breaks the peaceful silence. The day's fear and confusion give way to a hopeful possibility of something more between them. Jenna's smile in response is bright, a promise of new beginnings after a day that brought them closer in the most unexpected of ways.